Hi, Dr. Brown.
Hey.
I'm a pastor here in North Dakota. I have a simple question. It really bothered me after the whole thing happened with Roe versus Wade. I mean, people have been praying for this for many, many years. And I kind of checked out all my favorite preachers. So I'm a preacher myself, but there are many preachers that speak into my life. A lot of them charismatics or Pentecostals. And on social media, many of them, I would say probably 80 to 90% were absolutely silent on that Friday and the day after and the day after that. And I was really grieved by that. Some even, big ministries that everyone would know. And my question to you is that not a problem that men and women of God won't stand up publicly for this? And why would they not? And isn't this the problem why we are in America where we are at?
It's a giant problem. It's a terrible problem. It's inexcusable. There's no good rationale for it. Now, the reason that some would give is, I want to be able to win people to Jesus. I don't want anything to stand in the way of winning people to Jesus. This would be the mindset, right? Read Andy Stanley's new book, Not In It to Win It. There's a lot I love about the book and a lot I really differ with. So he's already agreed to come on the air so we can have a discussion about this. And I've already shared privately some areas that I love and some where I really differ. So we'll have that discussion. But here's the mindset. Abortion is so volatile. The moment you touch it, you're going to get instant political divisions, instant emotional divisions. People that you want to reach with the gospel, you now won't be able to reach. People will be turned away from Jesus. Better to not talk about that publicly, to minister life, in other ways. Just teach the word, practice love one another as Jesus loved us, reach the lost, and then build up a good, positive culture of life and help people to understand. And then we can more effectively reach the world. Now, the reason I say that mentality is not realistic is, number one, the Great Commission is a call to go and make disciples. And part of making disciples is to teach them principles of life and truth. If we lived in the days of slavery, segregation, let's say that we're a church in the South in the midst of slavery and segregation. We're not supposed to address it because it's controversial. We're not supposed to speak out against injustice. We're not supposed to stand up for the poor and the oppressed. We're not supposed to go against the cultural norms. We're called to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world. We must do it in a way that exalts Jesus. We must do it in a way that is not political. In other words, it's one thing to be pro-life. It's another thing to be pro-Trump or pro-Biden or pro-DeSantis or pro. So that's a totally separate issue, right? And it's one thing to get political. My book coming out in September, The Political Seduction of the Church, has a subtitle, How Millions of American Christians Have Confused the Gospel with Politics, right? So we get super caught up in political, Republican versus Democrat. That's not the issue. I talk about this a lot as part of my calling as a radio host and an op-ed writer, but your average pastor is going to talk very little politics, but absolutely moral and cultural issues. This is the world that we live in. What about in a big church, all the women now with the overturning of Roe v. Wade who had abortions, who are dealing afresh with guilt, who are dealing with the demons of the past, so to say, coming up and they're struggling. What about the people in the church contemplating abortion? For us to not publicly rejoice at the same time, to take advantage of this time to say to all of you women that think that we're heartless and crazy, can we talk? We want to get to know you. We look, you're afraid, you think that it's just a bunch of old men telling you what you can do with your body. You're already thinking about the 11-year-old girl that gets raped by her uncle, and you're going to force this girl to have a baby. And what kind of cruel monster are you? This is our perfect time to reach out, to talk with compassion, to say, would you just for one moment consider, is that a human being in the womb? Isn't that everything? Amen. So to me, it is a massive, massive gap. It is a major reason that the church is so confused. It is not that we're talking about these issues too much from the pulpit. Quite the contrary. We hardly are. And then when we do, we often get political about it, or we are so right in our position, we forget the people hurting. I've often said that when I'm dealing with gay issues or same-sex, quote, marriage or trans issues, and I'm equipping a church to deal with this, that I'm also speaking as if there's a 15-year-old kid in the front row, suicidal, gay identified, wondering if there's any hope or love from this church. Whatever I say, I want him to hear love. If you cut us, we bleed love. It's the same thing here. John, may the Lord awaken the shepherds in his body. The flock needs your guidance now. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, click on one of the boxes on the screen, check out another one of our videos, and be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. You know, we discovered that about 60% of you that are watching our videos aren't subscribers, so subscribe today. Doesn't cost you a dime. And if you want to support our work, Line of Fire, and all the things that we do, follow one of the links on the screen below.